All right, so what we said we would cover today is a range of topics, including selling interstate, selling overseas, dealing with fraud, packing and shipping, and marketing. And I want to, I guess, speak to that through some specific examples. I'm just going to mute some people so we don't have
in a Zoom meeting.
background noise. Okay, so let me, the example that I'm going to use is a Christmas ornament website that we run. We run that here at our office in Hawthorne. So I just want to share some examples around that to lead into these discussion topics. So let me take you there and show you what we're talking about. So I'm going to share my screen. So this is the website that we're going to use as the example. Don't get, we're not here to talk about ornaments, but it's a good example site because of some of the things that are happening with the site. Originally, it was created to sell these Hallmark keepsakes, but in fact, it sells a whole bunch of other stuff. It sells, merman type ornaments. It sells charity box Christmas cards, collectible coins, calendars, luxury stationery, and things like that. So the site itself was started up with one purpose, and it's now become quite horizontal in terms of what it sells. And to give you some context, I'm going to take you to the back end of Shopify. And we can see that that site so far this year has done $206,000 in sales. That will double over the next, 8 to 10 weeks. And so that gives you an idea of the extent of the site. The site's about 5 years old. And in terms of the site itself, we can see here the traffic from the website. So, back in 2021, it was getting around 657. We're now getting 992 visits in terms of organic traffic visits a month. And we can see how we've grown that. This here shows where we sit within the top 3 positions, 4 to 10, 11 to 20 with Google. So we can see now that 53 of our keywords are in the top 3, 82 of our keywords are in positions 4 to 10. Whereas if we go back to April 2021, the numbers were quite low. So we've done a lot of work in being able to be found on Google. And the other thing that we've done for this website is if you go to Google and type in Hallmark keepsakes, you'll see we've got one ad there, an image ad, and then we've got a couple of others. Currently, our main competitor is Hallmark because they're advertising as well. And so there's this section up here where they're image related ads. And I want to speak to that because we're not doing anything to run these ads other than giving Google an amount of money to spend. So the data for these ads, for example, this one here, which is ours, flows from the Shopify website through to Google, and then it automatically appears here. So we're effectively ticking some boxes within Shopify to make those advertisements occur. And this is interesting in the sense that the Shopify Google connection makes it very easy for you to find people you wouldn't otherwise find. So that's proving to be successful, as well as using YouTube. So this is our YouTube channel that we're using. And you can see here, we've got this Harry Potter Christmas ornaments. So that's had 59,000 views. And that cost us a couple $100 to get to the 59,000 views. So we created a video, really, really simple video that goes for about 30 seconds. And it just shows the various Harry Potter product. And that generated a lot of traffic to the website. Then we've got one here, which is a more generic Christmas keepsake one. And that got 33,000 views. We spent about $150 on that. So the point that I would make is that from the link from Shopify through to Google for these products to appear here, as well as being ranked very well on Google natural searches, is what's helping to drive these particular results for the business. What's interesting with Shopify is the data it provides from a back-end perspective. So I've just gone to the dashboard here and I'm just looking at their analytics. So I can see the sales, I can see our conversion rate, average order value, total number of orders, returning customer rate over time, which is 58.47, which is high actually for a website. I've got all of this data that I can use. And then we can see here revenue that's particularly attributable to marketing. Now, this is tying back very specifically to a Google campaign that we kicked off. And so we're able to easily, from a Shopify perspective, see the value of it. We can see sales by traffic source, sessions by location, sessions by traffic source. This is interesting here. And if I click view report, it'll go into more details. But I can start to see where my sales are coming from. We've got another website that's actually selling coins online, and more than half of its revenue is coming from overseas because they're coins that people can't get from overseas. To be able to instantly see my top selling products by unit sold makes it very easy for you to go back to customers. And then from here, I can also, with Shopify, I can get Shopify to go and engage with marketing. So I can go and create an email. Like up here, I can click on create campaign, and I can easily email my customers. And in here are some templates. So I could email my customers an automated email saying, here are the top sellers. So Shopify itself provides a lot of these tools within the platform, and they make it very, very easy. So when you're running a business, your business decisions are all about data, and this is what's giving us the information. When we started to see with one of our other sites that we're getting a lot of sales from overseas, that's when we started to take the overseas challenges, very seriously. We don't use any fraud protection insurance, but we do insure everything that we send overseas. So we use Sendle, for example, for all of our international shipping, and Sendle automatically gives us $300 insurance coverage, which we have used, and it's a very, very easy thing to use. So that international shipping is made a lot easier when you go through the Sendle platform. When we're shipping locally, we'll use a mixture between Australia Post and Sendle, and we've got a shipping plugin with our Shopify websites that chooses the best shipping approach to take. Because Australia Post is good for local, but it's not always best. It depends where it's going in terms of what the cost would be and whether the customer's paid for fast shipping or just regular shipping or whatever. So we're doing as much as possible to make the process as efficient as possible. And I want to give you an example of what that looks like in a practical sense. So when we get an order, so here's an order here, it's going to Western Australia. You've got two ornaments there. You've got a Harry Potter Lunar Lovegood and a Marvel Avengers. You can see the shipping is $9.95. What I wanted to show you here is we've got this set up in a fulfillment app within Shopify that says the location is location C2-2. And here's what that looks like. There's C2-2 sitting within our facility here in the office. I took this photo 15 minutes ago. So the person who's picking this order can see the location for the two items that we're shipping there. So we go and get it from the right bay within the stock area. And just to give you context, that's about a third of the stock that we have here within the office. And so everything is identified by a bay number. So once it's been picked, it comes across to this station here, where on this screen here, they use the barcode, they scan the picking slip, and it shows on this screen exactly what's in the order. And they're able to tick off that those two things have been picked. They then put it in a box. They push a button here based on the size of the box, and that device there spits out some moistened tape that is used to seal the box. And then it comes across to this station here, where the actual shipping, the final shipping is set up to go. And by doing it this way, by using the bays, the collecting, scanning the picking slip, and using this dispenser here of tape, which cost about $2,000, and then coming across here, we've cut about 30% out of our shipping time, which is very, very important because we're making shipping for us a lot more cost effective. And it means that we're able to be competitive in the marketplace, being only a small business when it comes to shipping. So in terms of the process, it seems like, there's a whole lot of stuff there to kind of not understand and what we've done. The reality is we're not experts when it comes to shipping. We've gone about and built this process over, this is our 5th year now. So we've got better at it each year. This is the year we've really kind of taken a leap forward. We spent $2,500 or $2,000 on the tape dispenser. We spent about another $1,000 on the extra tech for scanning shipping documents, and with the app that integrates with Shopify for choosing the best shipping route. Yeah, I think we're paying like about $30 a month for that. And the integration with Australia Post is free. It comes with the Australia My Post account arrangement that we're set up. The Sendle integration is free because it's part of what Sendle gives you. And because of the volume we're shipping, we get the automatic $300 insurance coverage. All of those things matter because when you're doing online, it's tight margin business. You're competing with some big players, and it's very important that where you can make these savings, you do along the way. The critical thing that we've learned this year, I think, is, or two things actually. One is leveraging the existing customer database. With the ornaments, we would send out, this time of the year, we would send out to our existing customers an email once each week. That email has to have net new information. So the email we sent on Friday, we let them know about some new ornaments that had just come into stock. And we also told them the top 4 or 5 selling ornaments that we've got. People who are buying items off you regularly appreciate that sort of information, particularly the top selling ones. And I know that if I say this, and this are in our top 10 selling ornaments, we will automatically get sales for that. So those emails don't cost us anything to send. And at its peak, we could send out a marketing email and get $3,000 or $4,000 worth of sales pretty quickly. Again, that's a seasonal business. And so that operates differently to what you would see a regular day-to-day business. The other thing that has been a big learning for us this year is YouTube advertising. And YouTube advertising costs about 1 to 1.5 cents per view of the video. Typically, people will only view the first 30 seconds of a video. So if we'll make some videos that are 30 seconds, we'll make other videos that are 5 minutes, knowing they'll only watch the first 30 seconds. And the first 30 seconds is when we have the content there, the prime content we want to focus on. Those videos, I shoot them all using my iPhone. And then I use a product called promo.com. And so I pay, I want to say it's about $50 a month or thereabouts with promo. So I load the video to promo, I overlay some music, and I put some text on it. And a video, for example, like if you see the Harry Potter video or the one of the other Christmas ornaments videos, I've spent about 5 minutes creating that. So I'm not a video expert. I haven't spent a lot of time. And then I'll whack it on YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel that we've set up, which took us 15 minutes to set up. Given YouTube my credit card, and then I've said I want to run a campaign. I want to spend, you nominate the amount of dollars. So I'll typically say $25 to $50 a day, and I'll do a 3-day campaign. And I won't do it for longer than that. If it's successful, then I'll run it for longer, but I want to see that it's successful first. You could test it out with just $2 a day for 3 days. That's not an issue at all. The other thing I do with YouTube is I target geographically the area I'm focused on. So with the ornaments, we do all of Australia. With the coins that we're selling, because we're getting strong sales from the UK and the US, I've got a YouTube campaign running right now just in the UK and US that I created a video for those markets. And so we've never done YouTube advertising before. We've just done static image ads, which have been okay. The YouTube advertising is proving to be a lot more successful. We're getting a lot more people clicking on the website and buying from the website as a result. Typically, when I'm talking about this sort of stuff, I'll have retailers saying, you know, you've lost me. You lost me 10 minutes ago because it's too complex. What to that, I would say, you know, I'm not an expert. And I've learned the YouTube stuff just by doing it. And I learned how to use promo just by doing it. It's not too hard to do. And they're tools that are well worth using. From an operational perspective, the benefit for us, the significant benefit for us has been around integrating with the My Post account, integrating with Sendle, integrating with the shipping app that we're using. and then creating a specific dispatch area within the office where all of that's done just in a very consistent way. Even to the point now where we'll do 2 dispatch sessions each day, 9:30 in the morning and 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And so we're very structured around how we allocate our time to do that. And that drives the efficiency, which makes the value of the products more worthwhile. What's interesting is what we realized we could sell on the website. So I want to go back to the ornaments website for a second and just show you something about that kind of surprised us a lot. So that's not the right screen. I'll just go and get the right screen set up that I want to share with you. All right. So if we go here, and I'll take you to the website, and I want to show you these box charity Christmas cards. Now, we put these on the website 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, just because we had the stock, and we said, oh, let's put them up there and see what happens. And we've left them there all through the year, and sales tick along. And then we know when Christmas is going to be interesting because sort of late June, early July, we'll start to see these sales really pick up. And do people buy box Christmas cards from this website? Yes, they do. It's rare when people are buying box Christmas cards, it's rare they buy one box. A typical sale for us is going to be 8 to 10 boxes. And it's an easy sale from that perspective. And I mention that because this is not connected to selling ornaments. It's Christmas, but it's not connected to selling ornaments. And we put it there on a whim, and already it's a successful category for us. And so one of the things we've learned from the website is don't be constrained by the actual shingle of the website. You could sell almost anything if it's accessible and people can find it. And I think that becomes a really, really critical thing. You know, we've got on here, for example, we have the giving plates, which have sold out now. And it was last weekend, I think we sold 13 or 14 of these at $25 or $30 a plate, which is just such an easy sell. And, you know, it worked really, really well from that perspective. So let me stop sharing that screen and go back. I know we've got a question on the shipping app. I'm just going to get an answer for you on that. I should know, but I don't recall. So just let me ask the person that question, and I'll be able to tell you. Let me pause there and see if anybody has any questions at this point. And if you do, just unmute yourself and ask away. Happy to take any questions on anything related to selling online.
Mark, with your comments about having different products under a shingle that you wouldn't normally associate them with, would that mean that the name of the website isn't so important? We just call ours Bermudas, which doesn't stand for any particular product or anything. Is that a detriment, or should we be looking more towards defining it better?
When I saw the name of your site, my first reaction was it's probably the worst name I've ever seen for a website. But in fact, it could be the best in the sense that the name doesn't really matter if you're going to be found for other reasons. So we'll have people who'll find my ornaments because they're looking for, you know, the silo art calendar or for box Christmas cards. And online shoppers, a certain number of online shoppers don't care. If the site looks like a site they can trust, the name of the site doesn't matter. And so that answers your question, I think. The critical thing is how you describe the product to be found. And I want to go back to... Sorry, just let me go back to the ornament website for a second. So I mentioned the giving plate. Now, one of the reasons this was successful for us is people were looking they were doing a Google search for giving plates. And we have this text here, which has been very carefully written. See, it says giving plate, giving plate, giving plate, giving plate, giving plate. Google's AI bots will read that and say, oh, this is content that is all about the giving plate. And so if you go to Google and type in giving plate, beyond the images, we're the top natural result. And so, Brendan, to your point about being able to, be found and selling items regardless of the name, that's what's critical. You've got to do this sort of stuff where you talk about, it's not just having the product, you have some text there that helps Google understand that you are an authoritative source on that particular keyword. So it's the product description and it's the text. And that's what helps the website be successful, I think, more so than the name.
Yeah, when we named it, I was thinking like Amazon, biggest company in the world. Amazon's just a river. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. So look, that's what I would be focused on, naming the products based on what people are searching for. And when you get to a collection, Shopify calls these things collections, where you put all of the products from a similar grouping together. So with giving plates, with their own collection, write around 350 words that helps Google raise the index. You need to repeat the keyword 5 times, and it needs to be not gobbledygook. You can use an AI bot to write that text for you. I wouldn't do that, but you can. There's one called Jasper.ai, and you can give Jasper a headline. You can give it some keywords you want Jasper to use, and then in 15 or 20 seconds, you'll have your 350 words. But there's a strong push for companies like Google to identify artificially created visual and textual content and to treat it badly. Google haven't got to that point yet, but I think they will. So I don't use any AI bots myself to write content, but you can. I've got an answer on the shipping integration. We use ShipStation. So we've got 4 websites we run out of this office, and they all use the ShipStation integration. And that's a Shopify integration. So coming into Shopify, we have ShipStation, we have the MyPost integration, and we have Shopify. So we have Sendall as well for that integration. And I think there's a separate one we use to give us the bin numbers for our picking and packing. So who else has questions? So Sue has said, is there an ongoing fee with Google? They offer credit for advertising, but I haven't used it. Wasn't sure of the ongoing fee. So the cost of Google advertising, there's not an ongoing fee as such. You decide for each campaign. So if I, again, go and share my screen and take you here, so I can get to the back end of this campaign. So over here, I've got, this is, I'm not sure which website this is for, and it's taking a while to load. It might have logged me out. But basically with Google, you can say how long a campaign is going to run and the amount of money you'll spend each day for that campaign to run. And that's it. There's no fee as such for using it other than the campaign. And so Google will, I'm going to quit out there because it's going to take forever. Google will typically, to try and get you using their services, they'll give you a $500, $600 credit, and that you see that credit come off your account. So in the case of the ornaments, I've given them a credit card. I've said we want to spend, I think with that one, probably $150 a day is what we're spending overall, or what we've said we'll agree to spend. Whether it spends it or not depends on other people who are bidding. And whether they get ads ahead of ours.
What does that mean?
What it means is you'll put in a total amount to spend.
Yeah.
And and Google will spend up to that amount, and you leave it to Google to decide the bidding. So if we go back to this one here, so I'll go back to Hallmark Keepsakes. So all of those images there, they're all ads, and they're flowing automatically from the Shopify or other websites. So My Ornaments has got one there, and it's got one down there. So Hallmark are there and there. They're paying for those. Target are paying for that. Sale is paying for that. We go to the next one across. You've got Panda Gifts who are paying. Target have got another one. So they've all put an amount to Google, and then Google has an automated process where effectively it decides which ads run based on the amount people are spending, because Google's trying to maximize its revenue all the way through this. So when I set up my Google ad spend, I can say, I want to spend no more than 2 cents per click on any one of these. I personally haven't done that. I've gone for what they call performance max, where I let Google decide in the hope that I get a better result. But I will only pay in any of these advertisers. So if I click on this one here, Nintendo Super Mario, that will cost Hallmark, maybe 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents for that ad. So as the customer of Google, you decide your total daily spend, and you decide how many days that runs for. So you might say, all right, I'm going to test this, and I'll put $50 a day for 3 days. And after the 3 days, the ads stop. So you're able to control how much or how little of your money you're spending with Google. So you control that. The risk with Google is if you have good success, you may throw more money at it, and then you become dependent on it. So it can be a bit drug-like, if you like. Years ago, I was selling through our hot ink website. Inkfast website. We're selling ink and toner. We got to about $300,000 or $400,000 a year in ink. We're spending $80,000 or $90,000 a year in Google ads, and then because ink margins were so tight, I said, you know what, let's stop the Google advertising and see what happens. We ultimately closed the business down because the amount we were spending on Google ads was way too much. With ornaments, we've got a better margin, and we had that existing base from the previous 4 years. So it's kind of worked out okay for us in that sense. But I would say start small, go for 2 or 3 days, and see how the experience goes. The critical thing and the time-consuming thing is getting the Shopify to Google link working. So for example, with the ornaments, that was a 3-month process because Google thought we were representing ourselves as Hallmark, even though we've made it very clear we weren't, and we couldn't speak to anybody at Google. So it was we had this email fight with them. And ultimately they said, oh, you're right, you're not Hallmark, you're just selling their products. And they literally turned a switch and everything started flowing. And so that was frustrating. We've got another website we set up, and we got the data flowing literally within 24 hours. It was very, very quick. In your dealings with Google, you've got to consider them to be like a landlord. They're that sort of overarching business that controls you. And so if I'm building a website, I want to get sales through Google, but I'm not going to rely on that to be my only source of sales. I want to have an existing customer database that I'm marketing to. I want sales in my shop, which are important to me. And I want to do all the natural stuff with Google so that I'm found naturally, which goes back to what I was saying to Brendan about making sure you describe the products well, and you make sure that you're easily found based on having text there that you've written to be easily found.
Okay, we haven't got ours up and going yet. There's no one in the shop that's very computer savvy. Your tower staff have tried quite a bit. My challenge is the next couple of weeks, or this week and next week. Brendan, is yours up and running at Rita? Is it at Rita's or?
Renita.
Bronita, which was we took that because that was the name we used with Water Gardens as the trust. Yeah, look, ours is up and running. I haven't put anywhere near the attention on it I need to it. So we just sort of stumble across a sale here and there, but it's, you know, I'm only getting 4 or 5 people a day looking at the site. I need to get more on there and then find out why they're not, you know, the few that are, why I'm not converting a few more of those as it is.
So Brendan, on that, one of the things you can do is you can integrate Shopify with Mailchimp so that if people are putting items into a shopping cart and then not purchasing, that's what they call an abandoned cart. And so you can automatically send those people an email that says, hey, I noticed you put these things in a cart. I've kept them aside for you. If you just click here, we can proceed. Sometimes that will get you the sale. In big business, the typical approach with an abandoned cart is to give a discount because big business thinks the only way to solve an issue is to throw money at it. And so you can test this out. You can shop with some major retailers, put items in the cart, go away, make sure you put your email address in, go away, and then invariably a couple of hours later, you'll get an email that says, hey, 10% off if you proceed. So certainly an abandoned cart strategy might help you get some of those additional sales.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry, Sue, you were going to ask Brendan another question, I think.
I think I've forgotten it. I was writing down the bits that you were saying. Yeah, concentration.
I mean, Sue, from your point of view, I think, and this I think relates to a lot of people.
I'm scared of it.
Yeah, well, look, and the thing is,
it's the elephant in the room, but I know once I start.
Exactly. Start somewhere, and know this: where you'll be in 6 months' time or 12 months' time is different to where you start. But you won't get there until you start. And so it's the stuff that we're seeing here with, you know, with ornaments and coins and things like that. None of that is overnight at all. You know, it's one of those things that it's easy. It's easy once you've done all the work.
I have to be honest, Mark. I mean, apart from selling the collectible things further afield, my reason I really want to need the website is for my locals. I'm in a town of 5,000-6,000, and it's growing, and it's predicted to double within 7 years. But they can't. They're in town, but they don't come down the street. Having said that, we don't have many retail places in this town. I have probably 3 competitors. One's a smoke mart, one's a pharmacy, and one's the mission shop with other things. And I try and keep my product different to everyone else, which is easy because of what News Express puts up. I know it's the locals that I need who sit at home and go, oh, I love that picture, and they'll send a message, can you post this off? I'll ring tomorrow and pay. Very able-bodied, but they don't come down the street. And we've had mainland, not being awful, some mainland people. I did a Pokemon promotion a few months ago, and I did it over the weekend thinking that would capture them. And first thing Monday morning, a guy came in. He's got a 9-year-old daughter into Pokemon now. He's addicted, and he goes to the city 45 minutes away to buy all his Pokemon. And we're like, oh, right, you know, you've only just moved in recently. 3 years ago he moved in, and he had never been in our shop. So it's very, very common, and they're the ones that I need to capture. You know, here's what's here. And
so I don't disagree with what you've said there at all. And so they're the ones who are on your mind, and I get that. The surprise is always going to be the people who find you that weren't on your mind. Yeah. You know, and I mean, that's I often would tell a story from years ago. One of our early websites we did was for a West Australian pet shop, family pet shop. They wanted a website exactly for what you're describing, to serve the local community. And 6 months later, they discovered they were shipping some particular products to Queensland, like a lot. They never thought that would happen. And I mean, that's where online becomes the icing on the cake, where you're selling to someone who will never, ever, ever set foot in your shop, let alone in your town, because that's where your kind of your view of your catchment area really, really changes as you see more people that you can sell to. And I think that's really fascinating. The other option, Sue, from your perspective, is to start somewhere with a category and say, that's the category we're going to focus on, nail that, get that right, and then go further beyond that.
Yeah.
It's just critical to start somewhere. Helen has said that she read that Shopify let go 1,000 staff due to some problem. It's true. Shopify did let go about 1,000 people. It wasn't due to a problem with Shopify itself. During COVID, early in COVID, they had a massive spike in sales, online sales, or the world had a massive spike. And so Shopify was growing on a trajectory. It then spiked, and they thought, oh, this spike's going to continue for a while. So they hired to satisfy for the spike. And then what happened as the COVID world, I mean, COVID hasn't gone, but the world kind of became normalized to it. So the spike sort of flattened. So they're still growing, but not at the rate they were. And so the people they put on are the people they got rid of. Shopify, I think, for small business retail is by far the best online platform. I've looked at BigCommerce, Woo, Magento, Neato, and I like Shopify because even though it looks complex, non-technical people can manage the website. If it's WooCommerce, you're going to need a software developer to manage the website, and they will charge you for that. And so, Shopify for sure is $29 US a month. I get that. We've had sites created by people who have never had technical expertise, and they've got themselves up and running. So, I like Shopify a lot for those reasons. I think it works really well. The other thing I would say is your data needs to be managed by your point of sale software. So your point of sale software has the images, the product descriptions, and that flows across to Shopify. And it makes it work, really well from that perspective. So you put your images there. Suppliers can provide images. You can take your own images, and you can certainly get yourself up and running from that perspective. I would share ideas for two websites that I think are an example of what people can do, because a lot of retailers think I've got to sell what I've got in my shop. I remember saying to a newsagent some years ago, create a pen shop, something that sells pen refills. You could probably put all of the stock in a 4-drawer filing cabinet, and you probably would get away with carrying less than $5,000 worth of stock. Pen refills are postable, and there are good numbers of searches for those online every day. And then in the bike space or the cycling space, I suggested to a couple of people about a nutrition website. So cyclist nutrition products, because, bike riders will take, they'll take health food bars and other things they can easily ride with, and they'll help sustain them during a long ride. Both of those ideas I think are interesting to me because they lend themselves to subscription type purchases, and subscription purchases are really popular with online websites. You see it with pet food. Their goal with pet food is to get you in with a discounted sale and then get you to sign up to repeat that every 6 or 8 weeks based on whatever the eating cycle of your dogs and cats happen to be. The same is true with pen refills and with cyclist nutrition products. So I think there are opportunities in a range of spaces to do subscriptions. and there are opportunities to sell outside what your core product might be. And I think that's one of the ways to look at selling online. Online is still a bit of a gold rush. There are a lot of people out in the space trying a lot of different things. There are a lot of shonky people, and there are a lot of mistakes to be made. I mean, I've probably been involved in businesses we've launched more websites than have survived. But every time a website doesn't work, there's a benefit or an opportunity to learn from that experience and do better the next time. So who else has questions?
Mark, the site you use to get all the information on your words and all, your main one that guides you what's doing well, is that expensive to get into, or?
I'll have a look. So the site I use is SEMrush. So the SEMrush pricing, yes, it is.
That's monthly, yeah.
Yeah, and that's US dollars.
Right.
But I mean, Brendan, I'm using that across a range of businesses, so that's how I justify it. But there are going to be other sites that you could look at. There's one called Ahrefs that's worth looking at. There are other. If you do a Google search for keyword success or SEO guidance websites, that's going to help you. But
Right.
in your case, Brendan, what's a keyword that's interesting to you?
One I'd be keen to look at. Well, calendars. I've put a lot of calendars on my site, and they've achieved nothing.
All right, so we're doing a keyword search here on calendars. You can see those results, I think.
Okay.
Right, so we're looking here in Australia. So there are 2,900 searches a month in Australia for the word calendars. Now, there are 634,000 keyword variations to a total of 4.3 million searches a month. And this is interesting. So calendars themselves, the calendar word itself is not hugely popular, but the variations take you to a different place. So if we look at all of the keywords, then we go into this, and you've got the various things people are looking for. So the first thing that's, I think, interesting to me is there are 14,800 searches a month for Advent calendar. If you're selling dog calendars.
Yes.
So dog Advent calendar is the top one. Dog pregnancy calendar, dog calendar. So 170 searches. So I'm going to go back to the keyword overview and look at dog calendars. There are only 90 searches a month, but there are 1,500 different keywords for a total of 9,700 searches. So if we have a look at that, you can see pooping dog calendar, 110 searches a month. You can see all the variations there. It's the variations that become challenging. So if you're with your product description, you might have, for example, Shih Tzu 2023 calendar, when in fact your description should say Shih Tzu 2023 dog calendar.
Right, to bring that into it.
And if you use your stock manager, you can do a bulk enhancement of your descriptions and have them resynced across to your Shopify website to include that. That's where your description becomes really critical, because even though it might be a Shih Tzu 2023 calendar, how often are people searching for Shih Tzu versus dog calendar? And so you want to make every single word in the product description an absolute winner when you're doing that searching.
So more detail in the product names, not just what we download.
No, that's correct. More detail in the context of what people are likely to be looking for. And I think that's the thing that's critical.
Right.
And, you know, again, it's hard because, you know, you've got to, we know what people are looking for online because we get data from Google that shows us that. You don't know what people are looking for when they come into a shop unless they go to a particular part of the shop. But someone who just walks through your front door, you really don't know what's in their mind that day. With the Google search data, it's useful, it's interesting. We can get that information. It becomes really helpful. So I would do a search. Off the top of my head right now, because I've been using SEMrush for a long time, and I also use Ahrefs, I'm not immediately aware of other tools, but if you do a Google search, I'm sure you'd quickly find some other tools that could be useful and less expensive.
Right.
Like, does that mean, say it was Pokemon, and instead of saying Shield and such trading cards, everything should have Pokemon in front of it, instead of trying to, sometimes their descriptions are so long. So I was sort of looking at how I can shorten their descriptions, but I'm gathering if it's a Pokemon brand, keep the Pokemon in there. If it's a plush, put plush in there.
Yeah.
Is that the type? Yeah.
Definitely.
Don't shorten the description. And
no, you've got to make sure.
Fun.
Yeah, you've got to make sure that you're casting this net, and you want to catch as much as you can. I mean, Sue, I'll show you what it looks like when people are searching for Pokemon, because it's another good example of a really popular license brand. So I'll go to the overview first of all. So again, we're looking just in Australia. People doing Pokemon, searching for Pokemon as a word, 110,000 in Australia every month. But there are 1 million variations to a total of 8.2 million searches.
I'm looking at your keyword difficulty above there, Mark.
100%, very difficult. Yep. So let's make that a bit easier and look at what are people searching for. So Pokemon cards, for example, 40,000 searches a month in Australia. That's less difficult. You know, your keyword difficulty is down to 61%. So Pokemon cards is interesting. So you'd want to scroll down. Oh dear, Pokemon porn. That's crazy. So let's type in Pokemon plush. $2,900 searches, keyword difficulty is 34%. So Pokemon plush, who is doing Pokemon plush? Well, Pokemon Center, Target, Zing, Amazon, Critical Hit, eBay, Catch, EB Games, Aussie Toys Online. So you can soon see who's in there. Big W, Woolworths, Minitopia, Etsy, JB, Mr. Toys, Alibaba, Kid Stuff, Toy World, Mighty Ape. So you can see a whole bunch of different, a whole bunch of different customers in there at the Pokemon plush space. What's interesting is 2,900 searches a month, but even with Pokemon plush, you've got 2,600 keyword variations. And then you've got these specific results. So Pokemon plush toys. So if I was talking about this or writing a blog post about this, I'm going to refer to Pokemon plush and Pokemon plush toys. 2 words together gives me some pretty good traffic, and the difficulty is quite low.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting when you kind of see the variations that are there. All right, do you need a website, or can you run Shopify through your shop Facebook? No, you do need a website. Shopify is the site itself, and you need to run it through Shopify, or whether you do WooCommerce or Wix or something else like that. You can sell through Facebook, but that's a whole different thing that's kind of outside what we're talking about here. All right, who else has questions? Anybody want to know anything else at all? All right, let's bring this to an end. If you do have questions afterwards, feel free to email me direct. Part of the issue with this whole discussion is it's still such a new area for a lot of people. And I do feel that sessions like this kind of add to incremental knowledge, sort of pick up a little bit each time. You know, it's easy to say every business should have a website. I actually don't know. That's not necessarily the truth. You've got to want to have the website, and you've got to want to invest the time to make it work. A website is a hungry beast. And by that, I mean, you need to write blog post articles to drive the traffic. You need to make sure your images are good. You need good product descriptions, and you need to stay on top of things like accurate stock on hand data and things like that. It's not something you can just turn on and expect to happen. It's also not something you can contract out, because the website is effectively a shop front for your business. And so you've got to make sure that you're on top of what has to be done. You know, I don't think they're here in this meeting. We've got a tower customer in Canberra. They sell sewing machines, and they've got a Shopify website connected up to their point of sale software. And they sold a $9,000 or $10,000 shop sewing machine the other day, which surprised them. And to their credit, they Google image checked the house that it was going to, and they stalked the person to make sure that they weren't being ripped off, because they were sending this sewing machine quite some distance away. But the story to me was a reminder of you often go online thinking you're going to sell this, and in fact you can end up selling this. And all you've got to do is have one or two of those experiences where you sell something outside of what you expected, and you think, well, how do I get more of that? How do I go about getting more of that? And I think that's the thing that's interesting about online. There's nothing we're doing that's proprietary, you know, in terms of the ornaments or anything else that we're doing. We're just being lucky. And we've had some missteps along the way that we've learned from. So hopefully it's useful. As I said, come back to me privately if anybody's got any questions, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Mark.